Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Luis. I'm a third year medical student from the Philippines, and in this video, I'll be going over 5 specific tips that you can apply to start off the brand new semester strong. I'm sure that some of you developed terrible sleeping habits over the break because you're binging Netflix, playing video games, or going down the rabbit hole of top 10 videos on YouTube at like 3 a.m. in the morning. Don't worry because same. So as a result of those things, it can be quite hard to get back into the normal swing of things once the semester resumes. Given it isn't realistic to expect to go from sleeping at 4 a.m. to sleeping at 10 p.m., my recommendation is that you gradually dial back your sleeping time so your body gets used to it. Try to do this over the course of a few weeks by moving back your sleeping time by 30 minutes to an hour every day until your sleep schedule fits your class schedule. My next tip for you guys is to have a stretch goal. A stretch goal is essentially a goal that reflects some grand aspiration that you wish to achieve. This can be in the form of graduating with top honors, or maintaining a hobby of posting videos on the internet while still maintaining decent grades in school. Having a stretch goal is important because it's like a guiding compass, your North Star, which will provide you with direction and orientation as you navigate the school year and give you guidance on making proper decisions. However, a goal is just a dream if you don't have a plan attached to it. This is where the concept of SMART goals comes in. If you haven't heard of this concept before, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. What these components do is that they break down the stretch goal into more specific steps so that you can work your way better towards it. For example, let's say you want to be on the Dean's List this semester. On its own, it can be quite an intimidating feat. But with SMART goals, you can break it down into more manageable steps. To make it specific, you have to define what grade you need to get in order to make the Dean's List. So for this example, let's make it a 3.5 GPA out of 4. To make it measurable so you can gauge your performance, you can set the goal of averaging a 3.5 on every exam throughout the semester. However, though it's measurable, it's still quite vague what steps you can do to achieve this. This brings me to the achievable criteria, which is to study the material every day while applying the concepts of spaced repetition and active recall. However, the idea of studying the material every day is not realistic and would just lead to burnout. So to satisfy the criteria of being realistic, you can set the goal of studying to 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. every night. Lastly, this leads to the time-bound criteria, which is the maximum length of time that the goal has to be accomplished in, which is the length of the semester. So, by having these more specific steps, you're more likely to achieve any goal you set for yourself. With only 24 hours in a day, there can only be so much time you can allocate to the activities you want to do. Especially as a medical student, time is the most valuable resource that you have, and it's not something that you should squander so readily, especially on activities that you might not end up even enjoying. Therefore, you must be intentional with dedicating your time to particular activities. You can start by asking yourself, why is this activity worth my time? Or, does this activity help me towards my goals? And see if you can form a clear answer. So with this in mind, you can set the non-negotiable fixed times in your life. This includes lectures, study times, and other fixed events that are important to you. Between and among these fixed periods are the gaps or free time that you'll have, such as waiting in line or lying in bed. You should also reconsider how you spend this time. Instead of mindlessly browsing social media, maybe consider listening to a podcast or an audiobook, the former of which I've dedicated a lot of my time to over the past few years, and has exposed me to ideas that I wouldn't necessarily be exposed to as a medical student alone. If there's anything I've definitely learned from nearly an entire year of online classes, is that the hours of sitting in front of your laptop screen can make you feel as if you're very alone. Time is almost an illusion, as the line between work and rest almost blurs completely. That is why it is important to combat this effect by dedicating portions of your time to activities that will take your mind off of school. This can be in the form of taking a nap, getting a workout in, setting time aside for your hobbies, or socializing with your friends. You can even combine some of these, such as having a group workout session with your friends over Zoom. For me, having these little activities sprinkled throughout my week motivates me because it gives me something to look forward to at the end of a long study day or at the end of a study block where I can let my mind recharge. With our gadgets being the only medium we can use to communicate and accomplish our requirements for online class, it can be easy to get distracted. So the question now is, what can we do to mitigate these distractions so that we can focus on our work? As the author Charles Duhigg writes in his book, Smarter, Better, Faster, we aid our focus by building mental models, telling ourselves stories about what we expect to see. What this means is that before you start your study session or accomplishing any task, you have to imagine what doing the task will be like and what possible obstacles you can encounter along the way. This can be internal, such as your phone notifications going off, or internal, such as your mind easily drifting off as you prolong the study session. With these scenarios in mind, you can develop methods to counteract them or to prevent them altogether. For your phone, one method that I do is that I put it on silent mode and put it on do not disturb and place it somewhere else in the room out of my reach. That way, I create extra friction for myself to get up and pick it up and start just browsing social media mindlessly. For instances where you find yourself losing focus and daydreaming, the best technique there is to just take a break. Because you're probably daydreaming or drifting off because your mind is already tired from all the thinking that you've been doing. This gives your mind some time to recharge so you can continue with your work. So to recap what we went over in this video, I went over my 5 tips for starting the semester strong. These include fixing your sleep schedule, having a stretch goal, reorganizing your schedule, dedicating some time to rest and socializing, and lastly, eliminating distractions. So I hope you guys found these tips very helpful, and if you want to find out how you can be a more effective student, check out my How I Study series where I go over scientifically backed study techniques that I use in medical school to study for my exams. Thank you so much for watching guys, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.